Hello everyone and welcome to today's session where we're going to be covering how to customize some of the options within your software. Now this session is booked out for around 45 minutes, but we're not going to need that full time, and we're probably going to be looking at about half an hour depending on how many questions we have outstanding at the end. Today we have Michael on hand today to answer some of your questions alongside myself. My name is Abby, and we'll get stuck in with what we're going to be covering today. So just before we do start, I just want to cover a little bit of housekeeping. So what you'll see when you join is that you will be placed on mute automatically. If you do have any questions, however, you can use the questions panel down the right-hand side, and it's just that little speech bubble icon with the question mark in the middle. When you click on that, it will then open up the panel where you can send your questions across to me and Michael. But just do make sure that you do press that send button so we're able to pick up your questions. There is also a handout for today. You can download this by clicking the button that looks like a little document with the folded corner. We would recommend downloading this as it's not going to be available after the session has ended. Now this session is a very small session. It's mainly demonstration, so there isn't much to the slides. However, we do always I know some of you do like to download that handout and print it out and make notes and things like that. So that is available for you to download. Okay, so let's get stuck in with what we're going to be covering today. So I'm going to introduce about customizing your software, what are the benefits of how you might want to do that. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to just jump in straight in with the demonstration on the software, how to hide and view some of your columns, the options window, and also how to view and hide your icons within the toolbar, and also the modules down the left-hand side of your software. Please do keep your questions coming throughout the session rather than wait until the end. As like I say, we do have Michael on hand to pick those up as we go along. Okay, so customizing your software may help you navigate your software easier. It might be as simple as adding grid lines to your ledgers. You might want to change what your default grouped icon is on your software. It might be that you want to change your selection style. You want to apply colors to your ledgers, so it might be that you want to have your customers in one color, your suppliers in another. You can also choose which ledger your software opens up on when you launch the software, and also the ability to hide your columns and your options in the toolbar, and also how you can sort your lists within your modules as well. So we'll just get straight stuck in with the demonstration. So I'm going to go over to my software. Now today's demonstration, I am going to be doing in the demonstration data. If you wish to try this out in your demonstration data, then you're more than welcome to. I'm already in mine, so it's stationary and computer mart, but if you're logged into your company, when you go to File, Open, you will then see the option for demonstration data or demo data. So you can log into there. If it does ask for login details, it's simply just manager as the username and no password. Okay, so let's get stuck in with the first option. So that's tools and then the options window. So we're going to go to tools along the top. We're going to go down to options. And this is the window that you would have seen on the slides. So we're going to go through some of the options within this, this window here. So the first one we've got is the show grid lines. So if we, what I'll do is I'll show you what my ledgers look like without. So at the moment, when I go to my customers and my suppliers, in my quotations. So wherever I go in the software, this is what my modules look like at the moment. If I go to tools, options, and tick show grid lines, which is the third option here, when I click OK, it will save that option. And then when I go into my customers, you can see now I've got lines appearing separating all that information. Just makes it look a lot easier to navigate through the information, a lot easier on the eye to pick up that information. Again, so if we pop through, I'll just turn that filter off so you can see there as well in my invoices and credits. So you can't pick which areas this applies to. It will apply to all modules. Now this is for all users, for all companies using the same machine. So if each of your users have got their own machine, it will just work on their machine. But if they are sharing a computer with Sage on, then it will apply to everybody. To switch it back off, simply back into Tools, back into Options, and then you can just untick that option. Next, we're going to be looking at the grouped icon for when your software, it might be that if you're working on a smaller screen, so it might be that you're working on a laptop. So if I pop into customers, for example, and at the moment, my resolution is big enough so that I can actually see my labels, my letters, my statements, and my reports. Now, if I had a smaller screen, it might be, so for example, if I just make my software smaller, you can see it now groups some of the options. And what we're talking about is changing the icon, so like a quick button. So at the moment, mine's set to reports. So if I click on this, you can either click on the drop down, and you can choose from here, or you can set a one that you know you're going to be using often. So then you can just click here if you know you do the reports all the time. Click reports, and it'll bring up the reports window. So you can actually change what this default icon is. So if I go back into Tools again, and back into Options, and then if we go into the Toolbar tab, you get a list of all the different options that may be grouped if you have a smaller resolution. So we're going to go to Customers, and then we've got the Documents and Reports, and the default task at the moment is set to Reports, as you've just seen. If I want to edit this, so for example, I'm the one that does the statements rather than the reports, I can click into the drop down, click on Statements, click OK. Then if I go back into Customers, you can now see that icon's changed. So when I click on that option now, it now brings up the statements and layouts. So you can change that for various areas as well, so not just within the customers. As you could see, pop back in. If you don't have a smaller resolution and you don't see that your icons are grouped, it isn't relevant to you. But if you do have the smaller resolution, and you do have that option to change the default task. So you can see it appears throughout customers, sales orders, invoices and credits, suppliers, purchase, products and banks as well. That's something to consider as well if that is relevant to you. Now that again is user specific, so it's not going to impact your other users if you do choose to change that. Next, we're going to go into the Environment tab, and we're going to cover the selection style. So the selection style at the moment is the Windows selection style. So if I pop out of here and I pop into my invoices and orders, for example, might be that I want to print out quite a few of these. When you've got the Windows selection style, when I click on one and then I go to click on another, it then unhighlights the one before and only highlights the one I've just clicked on. That might work for you, and you can use I think it's the Control button on your keyboard to select multiple. However, there is also the Sage selection style. So we go back into the Options window, into the Environment tab, and I choose Sage selection style. I click OK. If I go back into Invoices and Credits, I'm wanting to select a couple of the invoices to print or email. Now I've got the Sage selection style. I don't have to hold Control down. I can then highlight as many as I want, and it'll keep the previous one highlighted as well. And if I want to unhighlight it or deselect it, I can just simply click back on it and it will deselect it. So it's up to you. Some people have been using the Sage selection style for many years. That's how they work. But you might prefer the Windows selection style, but that option is there to change. Again, with this one, it is going to be based on the machine that you use. So it'll be, if you all use the same machine, it's going to be the all use the same machine, it's going to be for all users. If you are using separate machines, it will just be individual. I've also realised I've missed one out here, which is the one at the top. Do apologise about that one. So we've got the configure F12. So the configure F12 is basically a button that you press on your keyboard when you're using your Sage software. So I've just pressed F12. Mine's configured at the moment to open Report Designer. Now you can change this. So we'll go back to Tools and then Options, back into Environment, and you can change this. So at the moment it's set to Report Designer. What I can do is if I type in CMD space /C, I'm going to show you a guide for this as well, so don't worry. Tell you what, it might be actually easier to show you that first. So I'm just going to get the guide up. Bear with me a moment. I'm just going to drag this across. On the Help Center, if you type in configure F12, and then go to the guide, open a web page from Sage within Sage 50 accounts. And then what you can do is you can actually copy them directly from this article. So for example, you might want to open the Help Center. You might want to open the government website. It might be the tax code guide. Or if I'm being cheeky, it might be the Sage webinar registration page. So for example, we want to do the government website, for example. So all I would do, come in here, copy that, and then make sure the box is clear, paste that in. So when I click OK, and I press F12, it's opened on the other page. It's then directly opened me to the government website just by pressing that F12 button. So again, it doesn't have to be anything that's on that guide. It could be any website link on there, as long as you've got, let me find that other article, as long as you have this at the beginning, so CMD space /C space start space, then you enter the web address. You can have any website. These are just a few suggestions in here. Again, you might want to pop in something that's a bit more relevant to you. Again, with that one, exactly the same as before. If you're using separate machines, it's going to be user specific. If you're all using the same machine, then it is going to be the same for all users. The next one I'm going to cover is the startup. So we'll pop into options again. And then we're going to go into the startup tab. So for this one, is grayed out for me. And the reason for this is it's based on if you have a single company license. So if you only have one, your license only allows you to have one company on Sage at one time. You can choose to launch straight into the company rather than launching Sage. The company selection screen loading up. Then from the list, you then want to double click onto your company, enter your login details. The startup, it will just launch straight into your company without opening that company selection screen. So if this is grayed out, it means that you've got more than one company on your Sage. But if you only have the one, you will have that option to tick or untick. The next tab I'm going to cover is the colors. So as you can see at the moment, I've got some colors in there. So at the moment, let's go into my customers, for example. You can see it's just white. I know I've got some red on there. That just means that I've got some customers that have exceeded their credit limit. But what you can do is if we go back into options, into colors, if I untick the ignore custom colors. So I've got yellow, blue and green set up. When you go into the colors, so if you just click on the little dropper button here, it's going to take you into the color palette. Now, as you can see, it chooses black as default. I am going to advise you to stay away from black just because the text does not revert. So if you choose black, I'll show you as an example. You can see the text does not revert, so you won't be able to see the font. What I do recommend is you do use the paler colors. For example, as you can see, I have quite pastel colors on there. If I was to choose a bright yellow instead, I go to customers. I'm going to pre-warn you, it might be a bit bright. You can see it's quite harsh on the eyes. It might be, might be too hard for you to read, especially when you've got the red. So what we do recommend is using paler colors. So what you can do is, if that yellow at the top isn't pale enough, if you click on Define Custom Colors, on the right-hand side, there's a little black arrow. Drag that up, and then click OK. And then if I pop into my customers now, you can see that's a lot easier on the eye. And it just means that if you want to, you want to make sure that you're in the right area of the software. We have had cases where people have posted invoices on customers or suppliers and they're supposed to be the other way around, vice versa. So this just helps you identify in a quick glance which area of the software that you are in. You can, as you can see, also ignore those colors. So if you want to temporarily just switch them off, ignore custom colors, click OK, and it will just revert to how it was. Then you can just switch it on. So think of it a little bit of a filter. The next one I'm going to cover, and the last one in this tools and options window, is the view tab. So this is the one where I mentioned where you can actually choose which area of the software that your program opens in onto. So it might be that you've got a couple of users and one of them will only work in the sales ledger. You'll have another who only works in purchases. So what you can do is you can actually change which area of the software that the software opens up in. So if we go into customers, select customers, click OK. Now you do have to close the software to obviously to show this. So I'll quickly close this down. I'll open it back up. Hopefully it's not going to take too long. And then we go to demonstration data. Pop in the username. And you can see it's opened up straight into my customer's ledger. So that is user specific. So if you've got different users doing different areas of the software, then you can also set that as well. To change it back, simply go into Tools, Options, back to the View tab at the end, and then you can just scroll at the top. It lets me, and then select Home. And then what that's going to do is when I relaunch the software again, it'll just launch on the home page, like so. So that's the tools and options window. The other areas I want to cover while I've still got time. If you do have any questions as well, we've got Michael on questions, so don't hesitate to get them across if you do have any. So the first part I'm going to cover is the down the side. We call this the navigation panel. So down here, you've got all your different options. If you've got full access to the software, you'll see all of the options. But it might be, well, actually, I just want to hide. Although I've got access to everything, I don't want to see everything. So it might be if you're working customers, you might want to hide the ones relevant to the purchase side. So if you right click, you can then untick suppliers, untick purchase orders. It might be just that you want to hide that. You might want to hide, for example, products and services. So you strictly just do invoicing. So then we've hidden those options. So you can see it makes the menu a bit smaller, less to look at, easier to navigate what you actually use in the software. To get it back, simply right click again, anywhere. You can either tick them manually, each one, or you can click use defaults and they'll all reappear. So it's a really good tip as well that, if you come on a webinar, we're showing you a functionality and you don't see that option, always check to see if it's actually been hidden down the left. But also as well, if we pop into, I don't know, customers again, keep using customers as an example. It's also, we're going to be talking about the options along the top as well. So this is your toolbar. So this is where you get all your batch invoice, your payments, your receipts, all the different areas. So as I talked about before, if you've got grouped icons, because you've got quite a small screen resolution, hiding icons can actually then make them reappear. So say if I've got grouped icons here because I've made this a bit smaller. If I untick some options, so let's say, for example, comms, print list, don't use labels. So you can see now, the more that you hide, let's just say high price lists, we don't use those. So the more that you start to reduce in this menu, you can see now that I can now see all of my 3 options that I now have available. Again, same as before, if you want to bring those options back, you can either tick them manually or click use defaults and it will do that for you. Just had a quick question there coming from Faye. Will that change the view for other users or just for me? So if you're referring to when you launch the software into different areas, that is user specific. So that won't impact any other users. That is specifically for your user profile. I'm going to continue with the hiding in view of different areas of the software as well. And you can also do this with your column headers. So this is the blue bar that you see across the top. This is the default, so you get quite minimal, but if you right click on anywhere, you can see you can actually add way more information into your module. So it might be that you want to, if you have emails in there in your customer records, you might want to add the email column. You might want to add, if they've got, certain things, so it might be like settlement due days, you might want to add those in. So you can actually add in a lot more information. Priority customers, I don't have any set up at the moment, but as you can see, you can actually add in a lot more. And again, hiding of the navigation bar, the toolbar, your column headers, these are all user specific as well. So what you change is not going to impact your other users. So you can also add, column headers, you can hide those. You can't change the order of these. They will appear as they are, and you can't drag and drop and move them around. You can sort them by ascending and descending. I tend to have mine set by account reference, but you might set by balance or credit limit. It's not just within these, the main modules that you might find this. So you will find this throughout the software that you can organize these column headers. But also as well, some windows like batch invoice, where you see this blue column header, you can actually right click. You can also do it in here as well. So it might be that you don't use extra reference. You don't want to see you're happy to see the breakdown of the net and VAT. So you might want to hide the gross column. So as you can see, you can also customize those as well. And again, just to bring them back, you just click use defaults. The only places that you can't do this in terms of the column headers is invoices and credits. Oh no, I totally lie. I don't know why I thought that. Why I thought that was. So you can do it in invoices and credits. You can also come in here and change up these within here. It might be if you do a new invoice, it might be in here that you can't do it. Yeah, so like invoices and credits, sorry. So in the main window, in the main module, you can, but when you actually create a new invoice, that is somewhere that you can't change the column headers. They stay as they are. Okay, so that is the end of the demonstration on various ways that you can customize your software. You may find it really useful, some may not even apply to you. So it's just something that you can play around with, have a look, see what works for you, what doesn't work for you. Like I said, all of these are totally optional. Just a reminder as well, just that if you feel a little bit overwhelmed with all the different options that I've shown you today, you are going to receive a link to this recording in your follow-up email. So if you did want to revisit any of those options that we've discussed today, then you will be able to find that in there. Just before we pop back to the slides and we wrap up, I just want to show you some of the webinars that we've got coming up as well. So I'm going to pop back to my other screen. So other webinars we've got coming up is we're still doing the VAT proficiency. So we've got the quiz today. Yes, that is today this afternoon. And then we've also got one tomorrow as well. So last chance as well to get on those if you want to earn your VAT proficiency badge. The other sessions we've got bank feeds part 1 and part 2 coming up. We've got a new webinar, which proved very popular last time, is the impact of AI in small business. This is a new webinar, not necessarily product specific, but it's just all about, this AI advancing technology. And we'll just explain it if it's not something that you're familiar with. So you can see we've got quite a few new webinars coming up. We've got the business dashboard, inactive records. We are also repeating this session as well towards the end of July. If you wish, you want to get your other colleagues registered on this session, we are repeating this session on the 23rd of July as well. So check out those webinars. You are going to receive a link in your handout, in your follow-up email, regarding sessions to get registered for, but also links to our recordings as well. You'll find as well, if I pop up here, we've got a few previous recordings. We've got well over 100 sessions on here, different topics, different categories. So get registered. You don't have to register for those. You can just watch those on demand if you want to watch them in your own time. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll wrap up the session. So that does bring us to the end. If you've got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you are going to receive that email in around an hour or so. So do bear with us with those links to the webinar schedule and today's recorded session. Upon exiting the session, you will see a survey at the end. If you could please just spare 30 seconds, a minute, just pop in a comment on there what you liked about the session. Did you find it useful? What is it that you found useful? Is there anything that I could have improved on? I do like to read every single comment on there. So if you can just pop me a little comment, would be really appreciated. Okay, so let's check. So all the questions have been answered. Michael's been on top of those. So what I'll do is I'll wrap this session up. I want to say thank you to Michael, who's been on hand today to answer your questions, and thank you to you all for your participation today. Just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.